Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. I hope you guys are all doing well. And today, guys, we're here with a legendary 2v2 showdown. It's going to be Vampire Coast and Lizards facing off against the Elves and the Empire. But I want you to take note of this Vampire Coast army. We are going to be seeing the dreaded quad bloat. But what do you think is going to be here from the Lizardman roster to support the quad bloat and take it to another plane of existence, to ascend to the heavens above? Well, we will have to find out here. So we have Luther Harkin and Elithanar, and it is indeed going to be the COATL. This was clearly the intended purpose of the COATL when it was designed to escort bloated corpses up to the enemy battle lines. But there are 4 of these bad boys with the Dread Saurian, none of which are visible to the enemy army at the moment. So we do also have what appears to be Lord Mazdamundi, COATL, Dread Saurian, Paramanosaurus via the Temple Guard, who are also hidden. And for the Vampire Coast army, we do have Vampire Fleet Captain of the Vangeist's Revenge, Luther Harkin, Queen Bess, and 2 Carronades. Now, for the Empire Elvish Alliance here, it looks pretty standard protocol, to be honest. It's just a very wide army, a lot of spear state troopers backed up by Elvish archers. We do also have cannons and mortars in the back with ample defenses via halberdiers. So yeah, a very, very standard force here with Karl Franz. So what will win? The dreaded meme quad bloat coming in escorted by the COATL, which has got to be one of my favorite things ever. So here in the front, we do get some heavy initial bombardment coming in from the Vampire Coast Carronades in the tree line, able to shoot that Bright Wizard, and certainly that's got to feel pretty good. Luther Harkin up above is going to be flying in, looking to maybe do some battle, but he better watch out not to get shot down by all of those archers. And still, they have no idea what's coming. The bloated corpses are currently hidden. Everything is here. I think the only thing that I think fell out of the aura is the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard, so they probably honestly just think it's a COATL, maybe the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard, but they have to know there are some schemes afoot. And there is going to be some potential collateral damage here, or not friendly fire, but the archers might be able to hit one of the bloats accidentally. But right now, they appear to be shooting at the Dread Saurian, which seems to be visible. But the bloats are now on the table. So will they react quick enough? In a 2v2 situation, you know, they're microing on the other side. There's a lot going on here. It's certainly tricky to keep track of everything. And it looks like the bloats have been successfully delivered. So we are going to be taking a methodical look at this. The Dread Saurian moves in. The first bloat, oh yeah, let's give it to me, baby. The double bloat, 1 on the swordsman, which, you know, is more or less paying for themselves if it can wipe out a swordsman unit. It's more about sending a message. So those swordsmen get absolutely dunked on. These rangers also going to be getting dunked on pretty bad, but they are in a looser formation, so it won't be quite as devastating as it is against swordsmen, as you can see. But pretty much the same, actually, pretty close. You'd think the formation would matter, but alas, it won't. 2 more bloats coming in. These spearmen are going to be paying the price. There goes Ruination of Cities out. A bloat unfortunately hit a ranger, but those spearmen do get shreked. 3 for 4 really ain't bad. Those bloaty boys certainly help to bunker bust his formation. Now, the Dread Saurian and the big beastie COATL are here with the Shield of the Old Ones providing a little bit of support. Aside from that, on the other side of the battlefield, we do have an Air Force duel. It looks like Karl Franz and the archers of the Elven Alliance are going to be shooting down the last alliance of men and elves. Going to be going after the bombers up here in the sky. Karl Franz with Reikland, Runefang, and Galmaraz. So that's a pretty good catch there for the forces of the Elvish Empire Alliance, taking down some of the flyers, but will they be able to deal with this big blob? So currently, Curse of the Midnight Wind active, Saurus and Temple Guard have piled in, and Mazda has found a pretty comfortable little position here. The Empire sending in its Tatter Souls. It looks like some Great Swords coming in the back, a nice little banishment as well. But the elite core of the Lizards and Vampire Coast, apparently they've decided to share their Lizard trinkets. And unfortunately for them in the backfield, the Elves have done an excellent job of seeing the freebie on the artillery, so they definitely should have left something back here to protect the Carronades and Queen Bess, but, you know, sometimes you get such a chub for that bloat there that you just got to go for it and, you know, forget about everything else. Now, one thing that's a little bit concerning is that the Empire is super blobbed up here. They've sent in a lot of forces. They probably thought it's mostly over because they've gotten so much value, but oh god, the mighty are going to be hailed, and that is going to be a ton of damage. Oh my god. That's got to be a record, I think, for one of the most erect Vangeist's Revenge I've ever seen. And honestly, I was going to say that the Empire and Elves look to be in a winning position, but now that that happened, they probably just lost like over 2,000 gold worth of value, if not more, from that Vangeist's Revenge. That was some sheer brutality, and the Temple Guard are going to be able to push through pretty effectively. The Dread Saurian getting healed by Apotheosis from Mazdamundi, and the COATL doing its best to shut down the archers. It's a little bit of an awkward monster, but obviously doesn't want to be caught among spears. We'll see how that goes. Up in the sky, Luther Harkin having a pretty good trade against Franz. It looks like Franz did get jumped. He was probably fighting something else, and Luther was able to kind of attack him. It probably happened while the bat situation was going on. Now Luther, if he can get Franz down, honestly, I think it helps get the meme alliance back in check here. We will see, but it looks like Luther has some other trinkets on his mind here, as a Flamestorm from the Sons of Sigmar does go down to the back, tickling the, not the Dread Saurian, but the Temple Guard at the back. Quite nice for sure. And Luther Harkin appears to be getting a breath attack on someone. He does get it back there on the Great Cannon, perhaps trying to kill one of the Great Cannon models to take some pressure off the Dread Saurian. I think he had the right idea before, though. I think he should have probably stayed on top of Franz, because now Franz comes in and just gets the freebie here of the Vampire Fleet Captain, who, don't worry, he's got 555 kills in a battle here. That's crazy good. What is this, campaign? But yeah, the caster is going to be going down, and Luther will come to its rescue, but a little bit too late. And now Franz does have some support nearby via the Silver Helms, and they maybe could pile in. And if he has his items up, he could probably defeat Luther Harkin with the support of some of the Reavers here. So going to be a little bit scary for the old Vampire boy. The Lizard army continuing to just kind of slow push through. They have very good troop quality via the triple Temple Guard. The Dread Saurian has been getting healed pretty well. And most of the archers, of course, aren't like, you know, armor-piercing variants of, well, there aren't armor-piercing archers, but they're not sisters of Avalorn. So in this case, they're going to be able to hold pretty firm. The Dread Saurian with the constant healing from the Slon as well as the shield of the old ones, doing some pretty magical business. Now, here, Karl Franz does pull back. Luther Harkin trapped on the ground once again. It looks like his items were not off cooldown, so he wasn't quite able to beat up Luther Harkin quite as much as he wanted to, but it's still a very close game. Now, the Dread Saurian looks like it's in a little bit of trouble. The Empire and Elves do have a ton of stuff in the shadows coming back. Spearmen, their Heaven's Caster, and really it's just coming down to the Temple Guard here. A lot of it might come down to Franz as well. He does pop his buffs and goes in for the kill, but now Luther Harkin does see it coming and has an escape avenue. He's not pinned in by cavalry. So unfortunately, Franz is going to be blowing the load a little bit early there and is not going to be able to get your boy Luther Harkin. But he is being focused by bolt throwers, which is a good choice. The Dread Saurian, the Spirit of Tephok here, the Slon, Luther Harkin, all very, very respectable choices. And the Empire kind of just throw in whatever they can. So too are the Elves, right? Just pushing into any forces they have and trying to wear these guys down. But it's not an easy feat. The Lizards do have a ton of armor here. Ammunition could be a factor. Ammo's very low in these archers. These ones are running bare bones, so too are these. The ammunition is getting very, very scarce. Scarce, I was like thinking of two words. Scarce and scarce, that's weird. Scarce here for the forces of the Empire and Elvish Union. Karl Franz over here in the back does get pushed back by the Lizard Trinket Force, and he is going to be running with 1 HP. Talk about the most lucky Emperor of all time. I don't think he's going to be making his way back anytime soon. And more Elvish Spearmen being thrown in. The Empire does have some artillery. They actually have mortars back here, what appears to be another mortar crew. If they could stabilize their artillery, that would definitely be a win condition for them against this blob of, you know, Temple Guard. But the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard, so many weird units coming out in this game here. And it looks like they are playing on a high, are they playing on a higher model count? I don't, the Bloody Reaver have, I could have sworn they had only 45 models. Let me go ahead and look around. Yeah, so they're playing at a higher unit size, just if you guys want to, you know, really get the drift here of why some of the units might be more effective. So a little bit of a different meta, but man, that Bloated Corpse Escort was a pretty magical thing. Depth Guard just reaving around the battlefield. I think there needs to be some focus fire. Maybe the Empire needs to just kind of pile in and swarm them with something and try and crumble their leadership, because those Bloody Reavers will, you know, cause a bloody mess of things in the backfield if they're allowed to keep going. The Lizard Trinket Force still carrying on quite strong. Shield of Thorns giving them some nice physical resist. That is a spell coming in from the Spirit of Tephok. The COATL does have a couple bound spells, much like the Sisters of Thorn or other units in that category there. So here are the Star Chamber Guardians surging through the forest. A very, very cool looking unit. If only Lizardman tabletop units look this cool. I mean, most of the Lizardman models are just so haggard looking, so old. But especially Saurus. Saurus are some of the worst ones, man. Their tabletop models are just such a meme. Lord Mazdamundi, Shield of the Old Ones is active. The Great Swords of Sigmar getting a couple kills in there on the charge. Certainly trade pretty well against Temple Guard. Probably even a cost-effective trade. But with the numbers that are present here, it's going to be relatively tricky. And they're trying to get their bolt throwers and artillery back online, but the Bloody Reavers and these various other units like the Legion of Chaqua are certainly not allowing this to happen. And your boy Luther Harkin, a very excellent gooning. Luther is, despite his nerfs that he's received in the past, which were warranted for sure, it's one of the better gooning characters in the game. So he's just making sure to chase down whatever he can. While the Lizards, you know, have just kind of been by happenstance fighting in the forest here, really. They've just been moving to one target to another, but that's helped to mitigate a ton of the pressure that's been coming in. Bloody Reavers do pop the Enrage here, and they are just a force of nature. I mean, 204 kills right now, and let's go ahead and see what their value accrued is. 1,200, really, really respectable for sure, as they continue to wear through these Spearmen. Spearmen will pretty much do nothing to them. The hunger of the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard won't outpace the damage, but, you know, it'll certainly keep it in the ballpark. So back here, Temple Guard still making their way through. They're sending in some Reaganomics tactics, the Spearmen as well as the Halberdiers moving in. Archers, unfortunately, I guess, realizing they can't get away, or perhaps they thought that that was the unit they should sacrifice to hold back the Lizard Tide. The Empire Halberds making their way in. And finally, they're swarming the Bloody Reavers, which is what you need to do. Just surround them and you know, just wear them down that way. And the leadership might actually break here. They're at 50 right now, but I suppose if they get attacked by halberds and greatswords, the greatswords are going to be putting a lot of hurt on these Bloody Reavers once they get in there. So here they come. The great weapons are out, and you can see a couple of the Bloody Reavers on the impact do go down, so to do a couple of the greatswords, but this is definitely the proper way to deal with them. And it looks like there's going to be a Flamestorm coming down, or I think that caster actually died. So Banishment coming in from the Toad. And that was a great Banishment. Holy shit, that hit like everything. Beautiful, beautiful cast there right there by the Mazda Mundi. And it looks like the Lizard Trinket Alliance is coming into... Oh, that should be one of the factions that they're allowed to play. Oh, man, in the 2v2 tournaments, the Lizard Trinket Alliance. Yeah, they both have that mutual interest in trinkets of lizards. Oh, that's pretty cool. Okay, something to consider. Something to consider, making some weird alliances. All right, so Luther Harkin coming back in. The Spirit of Tephok as well as Lord Mazda Mundi, you know, holding their own. And honestly, I don't see any way that the Elvish and Human Alliance are going to be able to get this. Luthanar is forced into melee combat against Luther Harkin. That's obviously going to be a losing fight. Couple spears and bolt throwers in the distance, maybe able to rally, but at that point, it's pretty much just over. So GG, well played. It was a fun game. Really absurd. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the dreaded Bloat Escort. Let's see what their value was. And as promised, I will get the value on all these pieces. So some of the bloats did, you know, paid for themselves. Bloody Reaver is 1,400. Queen Bessie and the cannons just unfortunately got left behind. 2,600. So that was basically 2,600 value on one of those Van Revenge. And honestly, I think that won the game. I think that was the big play. The bloats were fun and all, but nuking that big haggard blob of Empire and High Elf forces, I think was the recipe for success there. So thank you guys so much for sending in the replay. I know you sent it in like a month ago. Hopefully you guys are still here on the channel hanging out and you can enjoy this one. I thought it was a really, really fun game. And, you know, perhaps next level tactics have been discovered thanks to your hard efforts. So thank you guys for joining. We'll see you next time. Take care of yourselves. Well played to the Black Jaguar, Onslaught, the Kaiser, and Abject Cement. That's it. See you guys next time. And that is it.